Hello and welcome back to English Podcast Voice, the place where we break down English for you, helping you move from understanding grammar rules in your head to using them confidently in real life. I'm your host, Quinn.
And I'm Riley. Good to see you, everyone. And thank you for joining us for another deep dive into mastering English communication.
You know, I want to start today with something brutally honest.
Oh.
It's the number one source of frustration I hear from learners, and honestly, I still struggle with it. It's that sheer agonizing feeling of making the same mistake over and over and over again.
Yes.
You know the rule, right? You've been corrected, the flashcard is in your brain somewhere. But when the pressure is on and you're trying to respond quickly, that wrong phrase just slips right out.
That is so incredibly relatable. It really is. And it happens because our brains are just, they're built for efficiency, not perfection.
Right.
In that split second of a high-speed conversation, our primal urge is just to make sure communication happens. We prioritize getting the meaning across over perfect linguistic form.
We just want to connect. That's it. We just want to communicate and connect. So we choose the pathway that feels most familiar, even if we intellectually know it's technically wrong.
Exactly.
And it's so frustrating because it feels like you're stuck on this language plateau, you know, perpetually signaling to everyone that you're a learner, even when your vocabulary is actually pretty advanced.
And that's okay. Because making errors is, it's essential. If you are making errors, you are probably speaking only within your comfort zone.
That's a great point. You're not challenging yourself.
You're not. You're not using more complex structures. The problem isn't the mistake itself. It's what happens after the mistake. Do you give up in disappointment, or do you view that error as valuable data?
That is the ultimate test, isn't it? It determines if you're seeing errors as proof of failure or as precise directions pointing toward your next area of growth.
Exactly. Errors show engagement. They show you are actively building and testing your own internal language system, which linguists call your interlanguage.
Speaking of classic persistent errors, I have a quick puzzle for everyone that we'll resolve a little later in the deep dive.
Ooh, I like this.
This is a mistake I hear constantly, and it's because of direct translation from so many first languages. The error is saying, I'm married with Will?
Ah, yes, a classic.
What is the correct preposition in English, and why is that mistake so common? Think about it. We are going to settle that confusing prepositional trap a little later.
That is a brilliant teaser, because those small, sticky words, the prepositions, they are often the very last things B1 and B2 learners truly master.
They really are.
They are the tiny errors that can subtly undermine otherwise excellent fluency.
So today's mission, our mission for this deep dive, is to turn those tiny sticky errors into massive leaps forward. We're focusing on achieving structural accuracy, maximizing clarity through pronunciation, and building the nonverbal confidence needed to rock any introduction.
It's a holistic approach. We're moving past just grammar rules to address the three pillars of true competence: accuracy, fluency, and pragmatic competence.
Pragmatic competence. What do you mean by that exactly?
That's the social mastery of knowing what to say, when to say it, and, crucially, how to behave while you're saying it.
Okay, got it. And before we dive into that very first crucial concept, we just need a quick second of your time. If you love the idea of turning frustration into fluency, please hit that subscribe button for English Podcast Voice and like this episode right now.
That simple action really helps us bring these deep dives to more learners just like you.
It really does.
Thank you so much for that. Now let's start with that foundational philosophy you mentioned. Embracing, but strategically managing your errors.
Let's do it.
So we've established that errors are valuable. They're evidence of experimentation. But what happens when that experimentation, goes a little too well and the error settles in permanently?
Oh, no.
That brings us to one of the most critical concepts for language learners: fossilization.
When I hear fossilization, I immediately imagine like a dinosaur bone, something permanently stuck in stone. Does that metaphor apply here?
It absolutely does. That's the perfect way to think about it. The core danger of fossilization is that it's the process where a specific linguistic error becomes so deeply ingrained in a learner's internal language system.
So like part of their speech habit.
Exactly. So ingrained that it becomes highly resistant, sometimes even impossible to fix, even when the learner is continuously corrected.
So it's not a temporary lapse, like forgetting a word for a second. It's a permanent fixture.
A permanent fixture is a great way to put it. You mentioned a great example in our notes: the advanced student who could discuss complex political theory in English,
Right.
but always said the most important thing in life instead of thing.
Yeah.
Phonetically, their brain had just replaced the unfamiliar S sound with a sun sound. And because the communication was still effective, everyone understood what they meant.
Nobody pushed to correct it.
Exactly. Friends, colleagues, they just accepted it. And that pronunciation error became fossilized. That student was fluent, professional, yet that one tiny error remained cemented because their brain had just stopped noticing it was an error.
Okay, this is where I feel the friction. This sounds terrifying. If I'm a B1 student and I'm making errors all the time, how do I stop them all from becoming fossils? It sounds like I should just stop talking out of fear.
No, that's exactly the wrong reaction. But I get it. We need to distinguish between a new, temporary slip and an error that has really deep roots. Let's use an analogy to really cement this difference. Let's call it the analogy of the bad habit tree.
The bad habit tree, I like it.
So when you first make a new error, let's say you confuse make and do for the first time. That's like planting a tiny unwanted seed in your garden.
Okay, little weed.
A tiny little weed. If a teacher or a friend corrects you immediately or you catch it yourself, you can just pull that tiny weed out of the ground. It's easy. No big deal.
Minimal effort. You just pluck it out.
But if you make that same mistake unchecked, dozens or even hundreds of times over months or years, that little seed grows into a strong, bad habit tree.
Oh, wow.
This is the process of fossilization in action. The roots of that habit grow deeper and deeper into the soil of your brain. Now, when you finally try to pull that tree out, it requires immense vigilance, conscious effort, and maybe even professional help to get rid of it.
Wow. So the longer you repeat the error, the deeper the roots of the habit become, and the harder it is to excavate it later. The implication is that early targeted correction is vital to avoid that deep-seated fossilization.
It's crucial, absolutely crucial. And this also helps us clarify a concept that many learners get confused about, the difference between an error and a mistake.
I have to admit, I always thought they were just synonyms. Just, a slip-up.
In a classroom setting, they're very distinct. A mistake is usually a lapse in performance, a slip of the tongue, a momentary distraction, a typo when you're writing. The key is you know the correct rule. And if you slow down or if someone gives you a gentle prompt, you can usually self-correct.
Like saying te instead of duh when typing too fast. I know the word, I messed up the execution in the moment.
Exactly. You can fix it yourself. An error, on the other hand, is a systematic deviation. It's something you haven't fully learned or internalized the rule for.
Actually.
To fix an error, you need external correction, focused instruction, and some structured practice. And fossilization applies almost exclusively to these deeply ingrained, persistent errors.
That makes perfect sense. So we're aiming to tackle the persistent errors before they solidify into fossilized habits, while accepting that mistakes or lapses are just a normal part of speaking.
You've got it.
Okay, let's turn this concept into a core vocabulary tool for everyone listening. Let's do a really deep dive on the word fossilization and its verb form, fossilize.
Let's do it.
So, I still want to know, just to be super clear, how is fossilization different from just a standard bad habit?
That's a great clarifying question. A standard bad habit can be applied to anything, right? Chewing gum too loudly, not replacing the toilet paper roll.
Guilty.
That habit might be easily broken with just a little bit of awareness. Fossilization, however, is a term specific to linguistics. It implies not only repetition, but also a resistance to correction within the learner's specific linguistic framework.
So the key is that the error feels correct to the speaker.
Yes. Even when they're faced with contradictory evidence, the deep systematic integration is the difference.
Okay, so what's the precise definition we should be working with?
Definition. Fossilization is the process where specific linguistic errors in pronunciation, grammar, or vocabulary become permanently fixed in a non-native speaker's language system, their interlanguage, making them highly resistant to future correction or modification.
That sounds intense. Okay, give us the full spectrum of how we can use this word. Let's hear this in 5 distinct contexts.
All right. First, a formal context. Despite extensive instruction and targeted drills over 2 years, the students' persistent confusion of definite and indefinite articles resulted in fossilized errors in their academic writing.
Okay, so that's talking about a failure in a learning environment. Very academic.
Exactly. Now, for a casual one, I didn't correct my friend's past tense error for so long because it was kind of funny, but now it has become completely fossilized. He genuinely believes the past simple of bring is bringed.
Oh no, that's just the danger of letting things slide. Bringed. Yikes.
Right. Now, for a funny or weird example, when I moved back home, I realized certain corporate buzzwords like synergize and paradigm shift have become fossilized in my vocabulary. I use them completely unnecessarily in casual conversations now.
Huh. I know people like that, so it can refer to persistent but contextually inappropriate vocabulary.
Precisely. For a historical context, certain archaic grammatical structures, like the older forms of comparative adjectives, are entirely fossilized in the English language and only appear in classic literature or very specific formal legal texts.
So the language itself can fossilize old forms. That's fascinating.
And finally, a philosophical take. The mind's preference for communicative efficiency sometimes allows slight grammatical deviations to lead to fossilization, blocking true linguistic refinement in favor of speed.
That brings it right back to our original point about the brain choosing efficiency over perfection. Brilliant. Okay, so that distinction between a general bad habit and the specific linguistic permanence is really powerful. Now let's hear it in action. Let's do an extended scenario role play.
Sounds good.
We'll be two study partners discussing a friend named Alex who is struggling with specific, repeated errors. You can start.
Okay. Hey, are you still working with Alex on the present perfect continuous?
I am, but honestly, I feel like I'm hitting a wall. He keeps saying, I am waiting here since 8 a.m., even though he logically understands the rule for I have been waiting. It's like his brain just short circuits.
Ah, that is textbook fossilization. He knows the logical explanation, but the incorrect structural habit is so deeply rooted, it just overrides the knowledge whenever he speaks quickly. It's the bad habit tree, full grown.
Exactly. He gets it right when he writes slowly. But the moment we try to hold a spontaneous debate, the simple present continuous for duration just comes pouring out. We tried correcting him explicitly, and he actually got frustrated with me.
Well, yeah, explicit correction often fails with a fossilized error because the person feels like they're being told something they already know. We need to help him notice the error through more subtle means. We need to help him chip away at the fossil before it becomes truly unbreakable. We are looking at a case of deep-seated fossilization here.
That role play perfectly captures the frustration on both sides of that. So now for the crucial part. How do we talk about this naturally? What are 5 common collocations and nuances for fossilization and fossilize?
Okay. Number 1, you will most often hear the term fossilized error. That's the error that is permanently fixed.
Got it.
2, we use the verb form to describe the process. An error fossilizes over time.
Right.
3, to stress the difficulty, we talk about deep-seated fossilization. That ties right back to our root analogy.
Deep-seated. I like that.
4, a learner can be described as prone to fossilization if they adopt patterns very quickly and don't get them corrected.
Okay, they're susceptible to it.
Exactly. And number 5, we use the specific term linguistic fossilization to clearly differentiate it from, biology and dinosaurs.
Excellent. So now that we understand the enemy fossilization, let's look at 4 very specific grammatical areas where these errors love to take root, starting with the answer to our pop quiz.
Let's do it.
We begin with the prepositional pitfall, the source of our teaser. I'm married with Will.
Yes, this is a classic example of fossilization risk because it is often a direct logical translation from other languages. You are with a person, so it feels like you should be married with them.
It makes sense, but it's wrong.
In standard English, the rule is fixed. We are married to someone. The preposition to suggests a committed direction or a permanent connection toward that person.
So she has been married to Mark for 10 years. The direction is permanent. It's a connection to him.
Exactly. But here's the nuance that trips people up, which you alluded to earlier.
Yeah.
The usage when children are involved. You can say, she is married with 3 children.
Wait, okay, let's slow down here. Because if a listener hears that, they might get really confused. Can you clarify that distinction? Because I think that's where the error often begins.
Absolutely. The rule is very strict.
Yeah.
You are married to your spouse. Always. You only use married with to refer to a married person who also has children, usually indicating the number of dependents.
So it's almost like an adjective phrase describing her total family situation.
Precisely. It's describing her status and her family unit. You are married to the person, and you are married with the associated family.
That is fantastic detail. It explains exactly why people get these 2 prepositions mixed up when they're talking about family. And it highlights why prepositions have to be learned as part of a fixed phrase or a collocation.
Which is our next deep dive. But first, speaking of fixed phrases, let's look at another purpose-based confusion. The difference between using for plus ing, a gerund, and to plus verb, an infinitive.
Oh yeah, I see students make this error constantly. I came here for seeing the city. They're always mixing up the 2 purpose structures.
It's a classic error. So let's lay out a clear structural distinction. We'll look at for plus ing first. We use it for two distinct things.
Okay.
One, the function or purpose of a thing. The emphasis is on the object's role, for example. This machine is designed for sorting tiny packages. The object's purpose is the action of sorting.
Okay, so the function of an object, what's the second use?
The second is the reason for a feeling or behavior.
Mm.
The emphasis here is on the cause. For example, she apologized for arriving late. The reason for her apology was the late arrival.
Okay, so for plus ing is about the function of an object or the reason for an action or a feeling.
Correct. Now, when we talk about a person's intention or goal, what they set out to achieve, we use to plus verb, the infinitive.
So back to my example, it should be, they came here to see you. The intention of their travel was the goal of seeing.
Precisely. The infinitive expresses the goal. If you say, they came here for seeing you, it just sounds unnatural because the gerund structure doesn't convey that personal goal.
Now, I know there's an exception here. Is it ever okay to use for to describe a goal?
Yes, but only when you follow for it with a noun or a noun phrase.
Ah, okay.
For example, we went to the cafe for coffee. Coffee is a noun, but you cannot say, we went for drink. You have to specify the noun. We went for a drink.
So for plus noun works for intention, and to plus verb works for intention.
Exactly. And that clarifies the rule beautifully. If the purpose is an action, use to plus verb. If the purpose is a concrete item, use for plus noun. And if it's a function of an object, use for plus ing.
Understanding these necessary pairings leads us directly into our next deep dive vocabulary word, doesn't it?
It does indeed.
So let's talk about collocation.
Let's.
I'm going to introduce the friction again.
Mhm.
Is a collocation just a fancy linguistic term for a grammar rule? Because the married to example seems like a very strict rule.
That's a key distinction and a great question. A grammar rule is, well, it's mandatory. It dictates whether a sentence is even possible. A collocation is much softer. It's about what native speakers find natural, because the words appear together frequently.
So it's about frequency and predictability, not about being grammatically right or wrong.
Exactly. If you say, the rain was powerful, it's grammatically correct. Nobody can say you're wrong. But a native speaker would almost always choose heavy rain.
So that natural preference is the collocation.
You nailed it. You haven't broken a rule, but you've broken a pattern. And breaking a collocation pattern signals non-fluency immediately.
Okay, so give us the official definition.
Definition. A collocation is a combination of two or more words that frequently and habitually go together in a particular language, making the phrase sound natural and idiomatic to native speakers. And I would argue that memorizing these is more important for fluency than memorizing every single grammar exception.
That's a bold statement. Okay, let's hear some examples and let's go into detail to show the difference between what's possible and what's preferred. 5 distinct examples.
Okay, number 1, formal. The CEO needed to make a difficult decision regarding the merger's financial structure. We don't say do a decision or perform a decision.
Yeah.
We make one.
Make a decision. Got it.
Number 2, casual. When I was trying to leave the party, I realized I needed to take a quick shortcut through the park to avoid the traffic. We take a shortcut, we don't make one.
Take a shortcut. Right.
3, a funny or weird one. After reading the bizarre email, I had to burst into laughter in the middle of the crowded library, which was highly embarrassing. We burst into laughter, we don't explode into laughter.
Uh-huh. Burst into laughter. That's a good one.
4, historical. During the colonial era, explorers were often required to keep detailed records of the plants and wildlife they encountered in the new territories. We keep records, we don't hold them or store them in this context.
Keep records. Okay.
And 5, philosophical. To truly understand the universe, one must pay close attention to the subtle signs of nature, rather than focusing on the obvious noise. We pay attention. We never give attention in this context.
I often catch myself thinking I can just substitute a verb with a synonym, but your examples show that certain nouns are, well, they're married to certain verbs.
That's the metaphor. Exactly. The word pairing is fixed. Now, let's demonstrate the subtle unnaturalness of breaking these pairs with an extended scenario role play.
Let's do it. We're discussing our friend Maria, who struggles with making her English sound natural despite having a great vocabulary.
Okay.
I feel bad for Maria. She's studying so hard, but her sentences still sound a little translated. Yesterday, she told me she was trying to do an effort on her presentation slides.
Do an effort. That is exactly what we were talking about. It's grammatically sound. You've got a subject, a verb, an object, but the verb choice is wrong. In English, we make an effort. It is a fundamental collocation that we learn as children.
And she described her new laptop as very quick instead of fast. Or, if she's tired, she says she needs to capture a nap instead of take a nap.
See? These small deviations, they don't stop communication, but they stop fluency. The cumulative effect of constantly using the slightly wrong word choice means her English doesn't flow naturally. She needs to stop studying vocabulary in isolation and start learning verbs and nouns as inseparable pairings.
So the goal isn't just knowing the word effort, but knowing the strong collocation, make an effort.
Precisely. Now, let's formalize the discussion about this term. 5 common collocations and nuances related to the word collocation itself.
Okay. 1. We describe the strength of the bond, so a strong collocation, like heavy rain.
Correct. 2, we talk about frequency, a common collocation like take a break.
3. We can classify them structurally, like a verb plus noun collocation, which would be make an effort.
Yes, and 4, an adjective plus noun collocation like fast car.
And what's the 5th? The nuance.
The nuance, number 5, is that you strive for natural collocation to achieve true native-level rhythm and fluency. That's the end goal.
Moving on to error number 2. This is a very short fix, but I think it's a huge confidence booster for learners.
It really is.
It's about question structures.
The mistake is a direct translation that leads to the question, how is it called?
And I can see why learners default to how. If they're asking how to refer to something, that seems logical.
Logically, yes. Structurally, no. The correct question word in English when asking for a specific name or piece of information is what?
So we ask, what is it called?
Or the more casual, what do you call it?
That clarity is vital. And because we often run into this issue when we forget the name of things, this is the perfect time to introduce one of my favorite informal words.
Well, it's the conversational placeholder that makes you sound instantly fluent and fun.
Let's do a deep dive on whatchamacallit.
Yes.
I always have to ask this. Is whatchamacallit a real dictionary-approved word, or is it just something native speakers say when they're being lazy?
It is absolutely a real word, though it's intensely informal. It evolved from the phrase, what you may call it, but it has been fused together and embraced by the language because it serves such a critical function.
And what is that function?
Definition. It's a placeholder, a fantastic informal word used when you cannot immediately recall the name of an object, a person, or a technical term. It allows the conversation to continue seamlessly without an awkward pause while your brain struggles to retrieve the exact word.
I love that. It's a communication tool that saves face. Okay, let's see how we use this word in 5 distinct ways, and let's really focus on the context of forgetting. 5 distinct examples.
All right, 1, a formal framed example. During the high-stakes meeting, the engineer couldn't recall the specific technical name for the new hydraulic valve, so he quickly referred to it as the new lever whatchamacallit.
Okay, so he's using it under pressure.
Exactly. 2, a casual example. I left my keys next to the kitchen appliance that warms up the water. The kettle, no, wait, the whatchamacallit.
Uh-huh. I do that all the time.
3, funny weird. My nephew invented a bizarre device for holding pencils and crayons, and we just call it the multi-purpose pencil whatchamacallit because no one knows what else to name it.
It's perfect for something that doesn't have a name.
4, historical. When early televisions were introduced, people, unfamiliar with the technology, often used placeholder names, calling it the glowing box whatchamacallit before the official term stuck.
That's a great image. And the last one.
5, philosophical. Sometimes, when a complex philosophical concept is too difficult to articulate, we reduce it to a mental whatchamacallit, allowing the ambiguity to mask our lack of complete understanding.
That is incredibly useful. It shows a command of the language structure, even when the vocabulary fails you for a moment.
Let's demonstrate that immediate usage. Let's do an extended scenario role play. We are at a hardware store, and we need a specific but hard-to-name tool.
Okay. I need to fix the pipe under the sink, but I can't reach the bolt. Do we have that special tool?
Which one? The big wrench.
No, the adjustable one with the sliding mechanism.
Yeah.
The one that grabs the edge. It's got a very specific name, but my brain is failing me. The pipe whatchamacallit.
Oh, the whatchamacallit. You mean the vice grip. I know exactly what you mean. I use whatchamacallit so often, I worry my actual memory for names is starting to atrophy.
I think it's just efficient memory management. Why strain your brain when you can rely on a solid placeholder like a whatchamacallit?
Fantastic. Now, for the 5 common collocations and nuances for this useful word.
Okay, since it's a single compound word, the collocations are more about how we use it. So, 1, the simple verb phrase, I need to whatchamacallit, followed by whatever you forgot.
Right. And 2, we use it as a substitute. I forgot the whatchamacallit.
3, it can function like an adjective, right? The whatchamacallit device.
Exactly. 4, the nuance is that it's usually used in moments of temporary lexical failure.
Hmm.
That's a fancy way of saying your vocabulary fails you.
Temporary lexical failure. I'm going to remember that one.
And 5, we have to emphasize its tone. It is always used in a casual context. Using this in a highly formal email would be extremely awkward.
Definitely.
Now let's return to our original structure point. Indirect questions. This trips up so many people because of the word order switch.
Yeah, the error is seeing a question mark and then forcing the verb plus subject order. So they correctly ask, where's the post office? But then when they embed it, they say, do you know where is the post office?
That is the persistent mistake. So let's establish a simple visual rule. When a sentence starts with an introductory phrase like, I don't know, I wonder, or do you know, the clause that follows must return to statement word order.
So subject plus verb.
Subject plus verb, always.
So we have to flip the order in our head. Do you know where the post office is? Subject, the post office, followed by the verb is.
That's the key mental switch. You have to recognize that the introductory phrase carries the question structure, leaving the embedded clause to function like a simple statement.
Okay, here's a mnemonic I like for this. Imagine the woo word, where, who, what, acts as a physical wall. Once you cross that wall, you have to stop asking a direct question and go back to statement order.
That's a perfect mnemonic.
Yeah.
The wall blocks the question structure.
Yeah.
I love that. Now let's quickly reiterate the punctuation rule linked to this because many B1 learners miss it.
Right. The punctuation depends only on the introductory phrase, not the clause after it. So number 1, if the intro is a statement like I don't know or I wonder, you end with a period, a full stop.
Right.
And number 2, if the intro is a question like, do you know, or could you tell me, you end with a question mark.
Simple but vital for professional writing.
Definitely. Okay, error number 3, this is about conditionals and time clauses.
Yes, this is about future reference. Learners often use will twice in the same sentence structure related to the future, which is redundant.
So the error is, I will call you when you will arrive.
Yes. The absolute rule here is that we cannot use the future marker will in the same clause as the time markers when or if when talking about the future.
Why is this structure so tricky to fix for learners?
Because logically, the arrival will happen in the future. The cognitive impulse is correct, but grammatically, the word when or if already provides the future timing. Using will there is just redundant.
Okay, so here's our mnemonic for this one. Imagine when and if are bouncers at a club. They only allow one future marker, will, in the main clause, and they physically block will from entering their own clause.
I love that visualization. The bouncers keep the grammar orderly, so the correct phrasing uses the simple present tense to express the future action in the condition or time clause.
I will call you when you arrive.
Precisely. And the same for conditionals. If you take the early train, you will save time, not if you will take.
Okay, the simple present in the conditional clause sets the stage for the future action in the main clause. Got it.
Now for our final structural pitfall. This one relates back to verb collocations.
The error is, I recommend you to go to the doctor.
That recommend someone to do something structure is a huge source of fossilization risk. It feels so natural to translate it that way, but it is just incorrect in English. You recommend the action, not the person to do the action.
So if I want to tell my friend they should see a doctor, how do I phrase that correctly? Using recommend. We need to give the listener the 3 completely correct, usable structures here.
Okay, here are the 3 correct structures. Number 1, and the most common, is recommend plus gerund. You just focus on the activity. I recommend visiting the museum first. This structure is short, fluent, and very conversational.
Okay, recommend visiting. What's number 2?
Recommend plus noun. This is direct and simple, focusing on the thing or place. Do you recommend this new phone? Or the guide recommended a quieter route.
He's simple enough. And the 3rd?
This is the formal structure. It's recommend plus that plus subject plus base verb. This is often preferred in formal, written, or professional English because it's very explicit about who should perform the action.
Give me an example.
The committee recommends that you take immediate action. Or, we recommend that all employees arrive early. Notice that it's take and arrive, the base form of the verb, not takes or arrives.
That formal structure is a high-value takeaway for anyone using English professionally. And crucially, the verb suggest follows the exact same 3 structures.
Yes, exactly the same. Mastering these 3 structures completely eliminates that to-do error with both of those verbs.
Perfect. So we have covered accuracy, Let's shift now to clarity, to pronunciation.
Let's do it. But first, let's clarify a fundamental point. For intermediate learners, the goal of this section is not to eliminate your accent. Accents are part of your linguistic identity.
Right.
The goal is clarity and intelligibility. Can the listener easily and effortlessly understand every single word you say?
So we're aiming to eliminate the phonetic obstacles that force the listener to strain or guess what we're trying to say.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Poor clarity, even with perfect grammar, can create something called accent bias, where listeners might subconsciously judge your competence based on how easy your speech is to process. So we need to focus on consonants, vowels, and, crucially, the musicality of the language stress and intonation.
Okay, let's start with the big one, the first challenge.
The troublesome TH sounds. The head and the gi.
Ah, yeah.
This is one of the biggest phonetic hurdles because the sound simply doesn't exist in many languages, especially Romance and Slavic languages. So the learner's brain just substitutes it with the closest available sound, often A, T, D, S, or Z.
So the mouth is physically unprepared for the sound. The muscles don't know what to do.
Precisely. So the tip is physiological awareness. For both sounds, the tip of your tongue must be placed between your teeth, or just touching the back of your upper teeth. For the unvoiced toe, as in think, your tongue is between your teeth, and you just blow air. No voice box vibration. It's like a quiet hiss.
Think. 3. Thursday.
Perfect. Now, for the voiced A, as in this, your tongue is in the same position, but you blow air and add vocal vibration. You should feel a buzzing in your throat.
This. That. Mulligan.
Exactly. Let's practice with some minimal pairs to force the mouth to make the distinction. Repeat after us. For the unvoiced, airy sound, 3 think, thousand thirsty.
Got it.
Now for the voiced, buzzing sound. This, that, though, mother, other. That voice activation is the difference between thin, the adjective, and then the adverb of time.
That physical buzz in the throat is the key. You have to feel it. Okay, challenge number 2.
Vowels. Specifically, short versus long vowels.
This can really change the meaning of a word, can't it?
Instantly. The classic pair is ship with a short I and sheep with a long E sound.
Right. If I'm trying to talk about sending a package on a ship, but I pronounce it as sheep, the listener gets a very cute mental image, but absolutely zero clarity on my logistics plan.
Exactly. So the tip here is duration. Long vowels are held longer, and they often require more extreme mouth shape. For example, you really pull your lips into a wide smile for the E sound in sheep. Short vowels are relaxed and very brief.
Let's run through a minimal pairs of practice focusing on that contrast.
Okay. Ship, short we sheep, long E. Really hold that long one out.
Full, short U, very relaxed fool. Long U, pronounced far back in the throat.
Pen, short E, relaxed jaw pan, short E, very wide mouth.
That difference between relaxation and tension in the mouth is the key physiological difference. Okay, what's challenge number 3?
Word stress and meaning. This is where we move from individual sounds to the overall rhythm of the language. The mistake is speaking too flatly, stressing every syllable equally. It leads to a monotonous, almost robotic, and hard-to-follow flow.
And the deeper mistake is putting the stress on the wrong syllable, which can completely change the word's part of speech. It can turn a noun into a verb.
Correct. The rule here is that stress changes meaning and word type in many English words. Contrast. Contract with the stress on the first syllable, which is the noun, the document.
Right, a contract.
Versus contract with the stress on the second syllable, which is the verb, meaning to get smaller.
Okay, let's look at 2 critical example pairs where the stress is the only difference.
First, record, the noun, like a history or a music album, versus record, the verb, to register sound or video.
And present, the noun, a gift or the current time, versus present, the verb, to give a presentation or deliver something.
Mastering stress allows you to achieve that natural, varied rhythm of English, which helps clarity tremendously.
And finally, let's talk about the secret weapon of native English rhythm, the schwa.
This is the tip for self-improvement that changes everything. The schwa sound, which is the lazy vowel. It is the single most common sound in the English language. It accounts for roughly 30% of all vowel sounds we make.
30%. So why is it so important?
Because it occurs only in unstressed syllables. If you focus your energy on pronouncing the stressed syllable clearly and loudly, all the surrounding syllables naturally relax into that quick, short, lazy sound.
Can you give some examples?
Of course. It's the A in about, the air in teacher, the I in politics, the O in computer.
So instead of trying to pronounce every syllable distinctly, like computer, We should let the unstressed ones relax into the schwa. Come piwa.
Exactly. This creates the strong, weak beat pattern that gives English its native musicality. Practicing this relaxation improves your clarity and makes you sound far more fluent, all by embracing the lazy vowel.
We've covered accuracy and clarity. Now we put it all together in the most high-stakes social situation, making a perfect first impression.
Yes. Let's talk pragmatics.
Pragmatic deep dive. The perfect introduction.
We're now discussing pragmatic competence, the social mastery of language, and the core rule here is non-negotiable. Context is king.
So I follow the grammar and the pronunciation rules, but why does the social context still feel so awkward sometimes? If my English is structurally correct, shouldn't I be fine?
Because pragmatic failure creates mistrust. If you say, "Good afternoon," it is an extreme pleasure to make your acquaintance to a new friend at a casual party.
It sounds weird.
Sounds very weird. It signals a profound social distance and makes you seem cold or strange. The tone must match the setting.
That's the awkwardness factor. It's when the what you say contradicts the how and where you say it.
Exactly. So let's define the three critical tones using our source comparison table. First, the formal context. This requires seriousness and polished language. Think job interviews, professional negotiations, or addressing senior leadership.
What's an example phrase?
Good morning. My name is Riley, and I serve as the project manager.
Okay. Very official. What's next?
The casual context. This is relaxed, familiar, and friendly. This is for meeting friends, neighbors, or classmates. A sample phrase could be, "Hey, I'm Riley, what's up?" Or, "This is my friend James."
Simple, easy.
And finally, the neutral context. This is the polite, all-purpose setting. You use this when the formality level is unclear or mixed, like meeting a friend's boss briefly at a cafe.
What would that sound like?
"Hello, my name is Riley. It's a pleasure to meet you." It's polite, but not stiff.
This distinction is crucial. If I use my formal, highly prepared introduction on a casual date, I'll probably never get a second date because I failed the pragmatic test.
Precisely. You undermine the potential for connection by signaling unnecessary distance. Now let's look at the ultimate framework, the 8-step introduction model. This is a comprehensive structure you can scale up for formal settings or shorten drastically for casual ones.
This sounds like a fantastic map for maximizing impact and ensuring you don't forget the most important details.
And remember, we're not just stating facts here, we're building a narrative. So, step 1, greeting and name. This must match the tone. "Pleased to meet you, I'm Hap," for neutral formal, or "Hey, I'm," for casual.
Step 2.
Location and background. Where are you from? Geographically and historically. "I grew up in X, but I've been living in Y for the last 3 years." This adds context to who you are.
Step 3. Role occupation. What is your core function? I work as a financial analyst. Keep it clear and succinct.
Step 4. Background highlight. This adds some weight, especially if it's professional. "I have 5 years of focused experience optimizing workflow efficiency in the tech sector."
Okay, so far it's pretty standard. What's step 5?
Purpose of the meeting. Why are you engaging with this person right now? "I am here specifically because I want to network with professionals in the sustainable energy field." It shows you're intentional.
And step 6. This one feels important.
It is the most critical human element. Personal detail for rapport. Mention a hobby, a passion, or a shared interest. "When I'm not analyzing data, I spend my weekends restoring antique motorcycles."
That personal detail immediately gives the listener an access point, a conversational hook that doesn't rely on your job. This is the mechanism for establishing rapport, which is our next deep dive word.
It creates common ground and a little bit of vulnerability, which are the foundations of trust.
So after that, step 7.
The closing, or conversational hook. This is the transition sentence to shift the spotlight to them. "Enough about me. What brings you to this conference today?" Reciprocity is key to a good introduction.
And is there an 8th step?
Step 8 is just listening. But that structure is gold. So now let's explore that critical step 6, building rapport.
Yes, let's do a deep dive on rapport.
So for the spotlight question, you mentioned that liking someone's shoes doesn't equal rapport. Let's dissect that. How is rapport different from just liking someone?
I think liking can be superficial and one-sided. I might like your shirt, but I don't know anything about you. Rapport, to me, implies a mutual connection that goes deeper than just surface appreciation.
Exactly. Rapport is mutual. The definition. Rapport is a close and harmonious relationship in which the people involved understand each other's feelings, ideas, and intent, characterized by mutual trust and affinity.
It's an alignment of understanding. Okay, let's hear this concept in action across 5 different scenarios, 5 distinct examples.
Okay. 1. Formal. Despite the initial tension in the negotiation room, the two CEOs quickly established rapport once they realized they shared a common goal for market stability.
So it can be built in a professional setting.
Absolutely. 2. Casual. The new neighbor immediately built rapport with the community by organizing a block cleanup day, showing initiative and common purpose.
Okay, through shared action.
3. Funny weird. I tried to babysit their parrot, but the bird and I had absolutely zero rapport. He refused to repeat anything I said and just squawked whenever I was in the room.
Huh. So you can have rapport or not with animals. I like that.
4. Historical. Eleanor Roosevelt was known for her incredible ability to build rapport with diverse groups, often by simply listening intently and sharing personal stories.
Through empathy and listening.
And 5. Philosophical. True therapeutic communication is impossible unless the therapist can establish genuine deep rapport with the patient, bridging the gap of perspective.
That emphasis on mutual trust is so powerful. Okay, let's go back to our networking event role play and see the difference when we skip the personal detail versus when we include it.
Okay, I'll go first, and I will fail to build rapport by sticking only to the facts. Hello, I'm Riley. I manage logistics for a major distributor. My experience is centered on optimizing warehousing. What is your background?
Okay, now I feel distant and a little on the spot. Oh, I'm Quinn. I'm an analyst. That sounds very technical. I hope the coffee is strong.
Yes, it is adequate. And then there's an awkward pause, and the conversation dies.
Total death. Okay, now do it again, but build rapport with that personal detail.
Hello, I'm Riley. I manage logistics for a major distributor, but I'm here because I'm hoping to connect with people passionate about cutting waste. In my spare time, I'm actually a competitive amateur baker.
Wait, a baker? That's fantastic. I try to bake, but I always mess up my sourdough. We have an immediate rapport over the shared agony of complex baking. What is the trick to a good crust?
See, that shared interest instantly creates a connection, a foundation of trust that factual statements just cannot build. We went from "what is your job" to "what is your trick." The conversation is now mutual and dynamic.
It's the human element. Okay, now for the next, 5 common collocations and nuances for rapport.
The verbs are important because they indicate active creation. Number 1, build rapport. This is the most common usage.
And number 2.
Establish rapport. This is often used in more formal or professional contexts.
Okay, and we can describe its quality, right? So mutual rapport or friendly rapport, that's 3 and 4.
Correct. And its failure, number 5, is a lack of rapport or a situation where you break rapport.
And the nuance.
The nuance is that rapport must be maintained through honest communication. It's not a one-time achievement you can just check off a list.
Okay, we've moved from accuracy to confidence. Now let's look at the ultimate application of this knowledge.
Yeah.
How to fix errors effectively, either in yourself or in a speaking partner.
Yes. The strategy deep dive.
How to correct errors effectively.
We can reframe this as how to trick your own brain into spotting errors.
I like that. So let's start with concept 5. When to correct, the timing and goal setting.
This is the dilemma, right?
Yeah.
Do you interrupt and break the flow, or do you let the error become a fossil?
Exactly.
It depends entirely on your objective. We need to distinguish between fluency goals and accuracy goals.
Okay, so if the goal is fluency telling a long story, participating in a fast debate, or just practicing spontaneous speech, we prioritize momentum. We don't want to stop.
In that case, we use delayed correction. Do not interrupt. Let the speaker finish their thought. If you're monitoring a partner, you can write down notes of the mistakes you hear, but without names attached. Later, after the activity is over, you present the general errors to the group.
So you'd say something like, someone said, she go to the shop, and then everyone works together to fix it.
Exactly. This prevents a loss of self-confidence because the correction is collaborative, not targeted criticism.
And what if the goal is accuracy?
If the goal is to practice a specific grammar point, say the past simple tense, or that structure with recommend plus gerund, then correction must be on the spot.
Yeah.
If the error relates to that specific target rule, you correct immediately, but gently, to prevent fossilization of that new pattern.
And the key, as we emphasized, is promoting self-correction. This is where retention truly happens. You need to force the learner's brain to retrieve the correct rule themselves.
Which brings us to 4 gentle techniques you can use on yourself or with a patient speaking partner.
Concept 6, how to correct.
We're ditching the academic jargon and using clear, descriptive names for these tools. So number one is the echo technique, also known as a recast.
Okay, the echo technique, what is it?
This is the most subtle strategy. You simply repeat the incorrect sentence back to the person, but naturally incorrectly, without highlighting the error or interrupting the flow of the conversation.
So if someone says, I go to market yesterday.
Your response as a partner would be, oh, you went to the market yesterday. Did you buy anything interesting? You just echo it back correctly and move on.
What's the nuance there? The downside.
The nuance is that this is great for maintaining momentum and for minor slips, but if the error is systematic, the learner often doesn't even notice the correction, so the error persists.
Okay, technique number 2.
The prompt technique, or elicitation. This is highly effective. You encourage self-correction by giving hints or emphasizing the mistake verbally or even using gestures.
This forces their brain to access the correct rule. So if the person says, she go to school.
You, the partner, would say, she go or she. You raise your voice slightly on the incorrect verb to prompt them.
And the nuance here.
The crucial nuance is that this only works if the speaker knows the rule already. If they don't know it, this technique just causes high frustration. It's best for activating latent knowledge.
Okay, technique number 3.
The clarification request. This is basically pretending to misunderstand. You act as if the grammatical error actually hindered your understanding, which forces the speaker to rephrase.
So you could use an exaggerated expression like raising your eyebrows or just ask, could you clarify that?
Exactly. So if they say, he have many money, you could say, he have. Sorry, I didn't quite catch that tense.
This is powerful because it links the error directly to communication failure. It motivates the speaker to fix it in order to succeed.
And number 4, the rule checker, or metalinguistic feedback. This is the most explicit hint, and it's best for more advanced B2 learners. You give a clue about the rule itself instead of the answer.
Okay, so back to our preposition error. If someone says, I am married with a programmer.
You, as the partner, would say, remember, we don't use the preposition with for spouse. Which preposition do we use for a committed connection?
And the nuance here is that this requires the speaker to actually understand grammar terminology. They have to know what a preposition is.
Right. It's an excellent way to consolidate and test structural knowledge.
I wanted to revisit visual cues. Do physical gestures work as nonverbal prompts?
Oh, they are incredibly powerful. Especially in a fast conversation where being silent isn't really an option. If a student says, yesterday I bought a book, you can just point backward over your shoulder.
A visual cue for past tense.
Exactly. Or if word order is wrong, like I am always late, you can cross your index fingers to signal the inversion of the adverb and verb, prompting them to say, I am late always. Oh, wait, that's a bad example. I always am late becomes, I am always late. Let's use a different one. How about I like very much pizza?
Okay, so I like very much pizza is wrong.
Right. You could cross your fingers to signal they need to reorder very much to the end. It's a silent, quick, and universal tool for the prompt technique.
That is truly mastering the art of sensitive strategic correction. Okay, let's talk about the final piece of the confidence puzzle, the part that speaks even louder than your words.
Yes, nonverbal cues.
When you're speaking a second language, your brain is often entirely focused on the verbal output, right, the words, but your body language is working overtime.
And the truth is, your body language often speaks much, much louder than the words you are forming.
This is where confidence comes in.
Yeah.
If I sound proficient, but my body is signaling nervousness, the listener will doubt my message.
Exactly. So for our concept dissection, your nonverbal signals must match your verbal message. If you say, I am confident in my proposal, but your shoulders are slumped and your hands are fidgeting, the listener reads the fidgeting and believes you are insecure, or maybe even dishonest.
So what are the specific ways nonverbal cues interact with our words?
They play 5 distinct roles. 1, repetition. They reinforce the message, like nodding while you're agreeing.
Okay.
2, contradiction. They undermine the message, shaking your head no while saying yes.
The most dangerous one.
The most dangerous. 3, substitution. Replacing words entirely, like shrugging instead of saying, I don't know. 4, complimenting. Enhancing the verbal message, like a warm smile accompanying praise. And 5, accenting. Highlighting importance, like a firm hand gesture during a key point.
That contradiction role is definitely the most dangerous for nervous speakers. Our anxiety betrays our confident words.
So let's discuss a practical tool for managing that anxiety and ensuring an open, confident posture. The power pose.
This is the idea that your physiology can change your psychology.
The theory is that standing in an open, expansive posture can help reduce the stress hormone cortisol and potentially increase confidence markers. So to perform a power pose, stand straight, feet shoulder width apart, shoulders back, and chest open. You want an open posture. Avoid folding yourself inward.
And doing this for just a couple of minutes before a high-stakes conversation can genuinely lower stress.
It can. That open stance signals availability and confidence, even if you're terrified inside. This brings us to the general body language rules for communication. Always maintain open body language. Avoid crossed arms or legs, which signal defensiveness or withdrawal.
And if stress hits you during the conversation,
Use mindful techniques. Focus on deep, steady breathing. Or momentarily focus your senses on a non-threatening object in the room just to recenter yourself.
okay, what about eye contact? This is tricky, especially across cultures. How do we find that perfect balance between interest and intimidation?
Duration is everything. For a one-on-one conversation, you should aim to maintain eye contact for about 9 to 10 seconds before briefly looking away. This signals intense interest and engagement without becoming a stare-down, which can feel aggressive.
And what if I'm giving a presentation to a room of 20 people? I can't just stare at one person.
Then you use deliberate scanning patterns. You want to include everyone to build rapport with the entire group. Use a structured scan, like the Z formation. Look briefly at the top left corner of the room, then across to the top right, then down to the bottom left, and finish at the bottom right.
And you're making brief eye contact with individuals along that path.
Exactly. Spend 3 to 5 seconds looking at one person before moving to the next. This ensures everyone feels addressed.
Mastering these nonverbal elements is the final layer of true communication competence. Now let's wrap up our core material with 3 classic, subtle mistakes that trip up advanced learners daily.
Let's do it.
The common mistake segment. These are the subtle errors that sneak in after you think you've mastered the language.
Often a result of direct translation that native speakers notice immediately.
Mistake number 1, explaining to a person directly. The error sounds like this. Can you explain me how the app works?
That is structurally incorrect. The verb explain generally requires the object to be the thing being explained, not the recipient. You cannot explain a person.
So if I want to ask for an explanation, what are the 3 correct, natural ways to say that?
Here are the 3 native speaker uses. 1,
Yeah.
explain plus something. The object is the concept. She explained the complex theory.
Okay.
2, explain plus to somebody. If you want to mention the recipient, you must use the preposition to. Will you explain the theory to me, or please explain the process to the class?
Got it. And the 3rd?
3, explain plus a clause, using a were that. Can you explain why the numbers dropped?
So always explain the idea to me. Never explain me the idea. Okay, mistake number 2.
Using people is. This is a persistent number agreement error. The incorrect example. The people is waiting outside.
Feels like a singular group, but
But people is always treated as a plural noun in English, regardless of how collective the concept feels. It refers to multiple individuals.
therefore the rule is strict. The people are waiting outside.
And if you need a singular collective noun for a crowd, you can use a word like crowd, group, or audience. The crowd is cheering, but always people are.
Good distinction. And mistake number 3.
The overuse of adverbs, particularly the word real.
This is a simple fix that improves polish instantly. The mistake. It was a real nice day today.
The word real is an adjective, and adjectives modify nouns, like a real diamond. But here, real is trying to modify the adjective nice. Only an adverb can modify another adjective.
And the error often makes the speech sound overly informal or a little unpolished.
Exactly. The native speaker use requires the adverb form. It was a really nice day today. The adverb really intensifies the adjective nice. Remember, if the word is modifying an adjective or a verb, it usually needs that adverb form, often ending in violal.
Excellent. 3 major pattern corrections that will boost fluency immediately. Okay, I think it's time for the test.
It is. The pop quiz. We covered fossilization, complex grammar structures, and the power of the schwa. Let's test your retention on 4 core areas. You and everyone listening, take the test.
I'm ready. I hope I didn't fossilize my own errors during this deep dive.
Okay, number 1, grammar. Complete the gap with the correct preposition. Ethan is married Joanne.
That's our teaser. The answer is 2. You are married to someone.
Correct. Number 2, pronunciation. What is the name of the lazy vowel sound that appears only in unstressed syllables and is the most common sound in English?
That's the secret weapon for native rhythm, the schwa.
Fantastic. Number 3, pragmatics in grammar. When starting a question with the introductory phrase, do you know, should the next clause use subject plus verb or verb plus subject word order?
Because the intro carries the question, the clause that follows must go back to the statement form. Subject plus verb. You maintain statement order after that. Who word wall.
Perfect recall. And number 4, correction strategy. If a student says, I want a new pencil, what's your palette? And their partner responds, oh, you want a new pencil sharpener? What gentle correction technique have they used?
That is the subtle, natural correction without interruption, a recast, which we reframed as the echo technique.
Excellent job. You have definitely mastered today's core concepts.
So what does this all mean? Let's quickly summarize the top takeaways from today.
Okay. The top 3 concepts for progress are: 1, the necessity of context. Your structural accuracy means nothing if your tone doesn't match the social setting. Prioritize pragmatic competence. The danger of fossilization. Be strategic about catching deep-seated errors early before they become that cemented bad habit tree.
And 3.
The power of self-correction. Use techniques like the prompt or the echo to force your own brain to retrieve the correct rule. That's what locks the knowledge in.
And here are the 5 key linguistic tools we unlocked today.
Our top 5 words.
Fossilization, the linguistic resistance to correction.
2, rapport, that mutual trust established through genuine connection.
3, collocation, the natural, habitual pairing of words that creates fluency.
4, recast, the subtle correction technique.
And 5, whatchamacallit, the fun, informal placeholder word that saves face.
We want to leave you with a micro-challenge for the next 48 hours. When you're speaking English, I challenge you to consciously use one of those 5 target words: fossilization, rapport, collocation, recast, or whatchamacallit, in a sentence. Make that knowledge active today.
And here's a final provocative thought for you. If you believe your grammar is perfect, you are probably not taking enough risks. True learning means continually moving past your comfort zone and accepting that the next error is simply the next stepping stone.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to English Podcast Voice. We release new deep dives every week, breaking down the toughest parts of English communication.
Keep practicing, keep experimenting, and keep growing.
I'm Quinn. See you next time.
And I'm Riley. Bye.